Straight in. Oh, he tried to break it out on that shot. And when you power the balls into these pockets on the Predator tables, same as any table, it makes the pockets so much smaller. I was thinking of more of a finesse play there and then using the 3 to break it out.
So our first real look at Jani Uski and the same problem facing him, that 4-ball, Eric, you've alluded to.
Yeah, if we saw how Alawadhi played that last shot, we pretty much know the 4 doesn't go. I guess the other option we didn't think about is not even trying to break it out and just playing safe behind the 9. I mean, if you get relatively straight on the 4, you can...
Well, he's got the angle on the 2 here if he wants to try and open it up now.
Pardon me, that's... Oh, wouldn't you have opened it up right there?
Of course I would have.
Yeah.
Maybe it goes. Maybe it passes. But the way that Alawadhi played, from the 2 to the 3...
Kind of odd sequence of plays, because once you had ball in hand on the 2, you would think you would open it up right there as well. Playing it like it goes. It's close regardless, but now it's looking like we're back on to saying it does go. Yeah, he's calling it straight in.
Yeah, he's just off angle too. He can't force this into that side pocket. It's too acute an angle.
That's right.
And so position from the 4 to the 6. Straightforward.
Cue ball's going to be moving to the right, but if he does hit it at the proper speed, which he did, he's going to have more work to do from the 6 to the 8. This is a... Go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say, now I'm really surprised at the way that Alawadhi played the 2.
Yeah, it did seem like he was going for the breakout there, and, you know, maybe... Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to play the 8 in the long pocket here, I feel. Nice shot. Good speed control. Can't get much better. Little unfortunate to get a little straighter than he wanted. Gonna have to play some speed here to get the cue ball off the rail. I would try to not overplay the speed and accept a little bit of angle on the 9. Oh, he went for it. That's 2 plays that both these players have shot in the first 2 racks where they're not afraid to hit speed into the cue ball.
Well, it's a long trip from Finland to Michigan. So I'm betting that Jani Uski didn't come here to do some shopping.
Yeah, they'll be stopping off at Open after this tournament as well.
A pretty good inning from him there. 1-1 the score.
Fargo rate on these players is real close. It's within 5 points. They're both around the 77-75 range, which is at world-class speed.
Looking around, a lot of matches taking place. We've got 7-foot table action happening as well.
Feeder horses in the tournament. Looking over to my left, Dong Kwak Hong is playing a match right now. Powered that one. Looked like the rack didn't spread quite as well as he wanted. Did make the 6 up in one of the top pockets though.
Yeah, and he's got a shot at the 1. 2 is available. 3-7 on offer. Top right.
There's 2 options here. He could run the cue ball into the 9 and risk a little bit on exactly where the cue ball is going to end up, or he could power the cue ball over to the right side rail. Position's going to come out better more often on if you power the cue ball, but you're going to miss the 1 a little more often, I feel like. Judgment call here. I'd lean towards powering it, playing the 2 in the same pocket as
Looked after. And also like to thank All those names we've come accustomed to seeing. Very happy to see Medallia Light back again. Kamui as always. Q Sports International. Predator front and center.
Yeah, all the equipment in this tournament is Predator. The lights, the bridges, tables, the balls, the cloth. Really asserting themselves as one of the main, or the main suppliers of all billiard equipment. And of course, a large percentage of the players are using their cues as well. Break cues, playing cues, jump cues. Ooh, missed the whole ball. Had to hit it thinly.
Well, that should prove costly.
Yeah. Gotta get the cue ball in a small area here, but when you have ball in hand, pretty good bet to believe he'll be able to do that. Almost edged out by the 5, but he's okay. Have to spin it a little bit, actually throw it in. He's got an angle here where he would have wanted to be straighter. So he's gonna just put a half draw stroke on this ball, play the 5 over in the right side pocket, or pardon me, the 8. Got a bit of an angle going the wrong way. He'd want to shoot the 9 in the side. Might consider the corner just because the cue ball is going away from the side pocket. Other option is just to still stick with the side and accept the angle that the cue ball gives you as going to the right a little bit. Yeah, powered it around. Again, not afraid to power the ball. Feel like he has to cinch this one. Just draw it over to the left side rail. Take the longer shot on the 10. He was able to draw it enough to get it on this side of the side pocket. I feel like both these players are gunslinger type players. They're not afraid to just go at the shots.
Yeah, and they let the cue out. Predator Alawadhi establishing that 1 rack advantage. He'll break in rack number 4. 2-1 he leads Jani Uski from Finland. And this Kuwaiti star, pretty smooth, Eric. I'll tell you, he's got a long, flowing action.
I see that, yeah.
You know that he's going to be able to move that cue ball around with ease.
Looks like potting is his strength. Breaks the balls hard. He's played in a lot of major tournaments. I've seen him on the circuit for a couple years now. The Kuwaiti players are funded players as well, so they're out there as much as they can be. Yeah, just really going at the rack with power. Didn't make one that time. Didn't leave a shot, though. Push options are down near the 10 somewhere. Maybe up near the 3. I mean, it's tough when you're leaving your opponent an open look at the 1. Not an open as far as pocketing the ball, but Alawadhi's always going to have some kind of reply here as to what kind of safe he can play.
Yeah, he's got to be careful not to leave Alawadhi with an option for an aggressive attacking safety, too.
Right. That's always the ebb and flow when you're pushing. Cue ball almost curved behind the 3 there. This is a good push. There's no obvious saves here for me.
Yeah, I think he's got to get this back, doesn't he, Eric?
So the safe for me would be cutting the one to the left, playing the cue ball thin enough that it goes to the left of the 10, and playing the cue ball 2 rails back and using the 7-8 as blockers.
Yeah, even the fact that he's taken so long over the shot tells me he's not committed.
Nice thing about this, though, is that the 1 can go safe as well into the middle of the short rail.
He played the 10.
Yeah, he actually called the 10. I don't know how aggressive he really went at it. I wouldn't have gone all in at the 10. I would have tried to have gone thin of it. But he might have said, I know the 1's going safe. Maybe I can make a game winner here. We've seen aggressive plays from both players so far, so.
Jani has called the 10 in the bottom left corner.
Yeah, it's a good call. Again, you can leave the 1 safe. Leaning towards the safe part of that shot a little bit more on the offensive part, but had it in mind. It's possible to make the 10. Yeah. And again, we're going to look at him go at the 10 here. I think he's going to jump at it, withdraw, try to bring the cue ball over to the left a little bit, and have a low percentage chance of making the 10, but still a two-way shot overall. Let's try. Just caught a little bit thick. Open look now. Gonna have to weave the cue ball through a few balls here, probably between the 4-7. Small risk of the cue ball getting behind the 3, but I feel like he'll be okay. He'll come tight of that. It's gonna open up with the new cloth. Did. Still sliding a fair bit.
Eric, with the table sliding, that 3 that you mentioned was always in the equation.
Right. Yeah. I mean, as you're looking at it, you would think it's not, but that's something you have to take into account if you're playing on new cloth. It's really not going to be as much in the equation on older cloth, but on newer cloth, you're totally right. It was there, and that was the result. Just a long 2-rail kick here. Not much in the way of kick safe. I mean, if he hits the left, but tough to judge hitting half the ball when you're kicking 20 feet there and back. Look at that. He actually hit the left side of it and thinly enough, but the cue ball in the corner. Ooh.
That's bad luck.
Yeah.
That is bad luck. That was a good escape. And, I mean, he was a little unlucky even to drop behind the 3.
Right.
But as you said, Eric, it's, the lack of play, I think, on the main tables where you're playing under these conditions in a club environment would have been straightforward for Jani.
Mm-hmm.
And he just got beat by the table a little bit there. Lack of understanding how these tables and balls are sliding. And that's not to take away from how unfortunate he is to have contacted that too and found the gravity in the corner pocket of the cue ball.
Oh yeah, it was a great kick. I actually feel like he was trying to hit the left side of it. He did, and just didn't quite get the end result that he wanted. Standard enough run out here. Balls are lying real good, actually. Just to take a 3-1 lead in the first set.
Yeah, you know what I like seeing with Alawadhi, and you see this with a lot of top players. They're pretty consistent with their rhythm around the table. They exude a lot of confidence. It takes no time, overthinking.
I feel that from him. Not afraid to look at this. Kind of felt like a 2-rail play there. He committed to the 1-rail play and just wasn't able to hold the cue ball up enough. Here's a potting test off the rail. Just 2 rails across. Never roll this ball in slowly, even though he can get where he wants by rolling it in slowly. Still take the more aggressive speed option at this one. Just Just missed it. That's a big miss in the first set, but look at this. The 8's got in between the cue ball and the 7. Looks like a jump to me. A little too far away from the rail to kick in. Oh, he's going to kick safe.
That's got to be very telling that he isn't jumping this.
Yeah, but I really feel like you got to be aggressive here. The 7's so close to the pocket, short race situation. I mean, you're kicking the 7 up table into a very open area. Yeah, it didn't work out. I like the offense there. Another potting test after a miss on the last one. I'd expect him to make this. Nice shot. Smooth stroke pace. Timed the ball well there.
And that's going to establish a 3-1 advantage for Alawadhi. And breaking to try and close out the first set. Very surprised that Jani didn't try and jump at that 7. Maybe too much distance between cue ball and the impeding 8.
Yeah. I mean, the times when you would consider not jumping there is if the distance between the 8 and 7 was less than the distance between the cue ball and the 8, but it was about equal, which makes the jump tougher. You know, the easiest ones are when the ball you're jumping over is closer to the cue ball and you have a lot of time for it to land, but still, I would have judged that one that you'd be able to land it okay. 7 was close to the pocket.
He never even considered the jump, though.
Yeah.
Never took any time. I mean, he was looking at the kick right away.
I noticed that, yeah.
Well, looking around, we've told most of our viewers, certainly that caught us for our opening match, that this is a hockey arena. I can tell you that the main hockey team here in Battle Creek is called the Rumblebees. We figured that one out. I'm going to try and find out what team calls the Kellogg Arena here in Battle Creek home.
Move more into the middle with that one. Broke close bridge from the line. Shows that he has the ability to switch up different breaks if certain ones aren't working. He breaks well. He hits them hard. I mean, I feel like that's the strategy in these ref rack events. Switch it up if whatever's not working. Put big power into it.
Now, as a player, Eric, are you a fan of the referee racking? Would you rather see the magic rack? What's a player's perspective?
Well, I think for this tournament, with the short race situation, the ref racking works well. I feel like if you use template racks in a short race, especially, I mean, you could make it alternate breaks, but you're just it's gonna be too offensive, and breaking runs are gonna be at too much of a premium. Where, you know, in a short race, I think for the fans and even to a certain extent the players, you want to feel like you're going to have turns at the table. And when the ref's racking, you're going to have more turns at the table. So I feel like that's part of the reason they've set up the rules like this. As an overall statement, I'm a little in favor of the template racks. I feel like, you know, they'll reward you a little more for hitting a consistent break, but of course that's a two-sided argument too. You know, it kind of especially for the viewers, it kind of gets one-sided. The players are making the same balls on the break all the time. A lot more offensive play. This style of game leads more to seeing the full value of the game. I think so.
5 is the danger ball here.
Yeah.
Especially when he was jacked up over the 10 and he had to play that off 2 cushions.
This is a close jump. He won't be able to get much power into it. Just going to go with a kick safe. It'll be a 2-rail kick safe. You were thinking 3. I feel like there might be not quite enough room in between the 6 and the 3. Like the cue ball will go long. Could be right though.
No, I think he's looking 2 air.
Yeah, okay. If you hit the right side of it, you have a chance to get The 8 and 9 in between the cue ball and the 3. Oh, that's what he tried. And yeah.
He left the slide rule at home there. That
Yeah.
wasn't even close to contacting the 3.
Yeah, it actually looked like the cue ball came a little squarely off the second rail. You know, certain atmospheric conditions, it's a little on the hotter side in the arena today. That'll make the table play like that a little bit.
And it's damp outside, too. I mean,
Sure.
people have no idea how weather conditions affect playing conditions inside.
But the biggest thing as a player, and that's not a knock on the tables. I'm not letting the tables off or anything there. It really is because of the atmosphere. The rails are just playing a little more square in certain spots. But the biggest thing as a player is taking note of that. I mean, once you see that happen once, you got to know that if a shot like that comes up again, you got to adjust what your feel is on the shot a little bit.
Well, this is an opportunity that you feel Uski has to take advantage of. He already trails 3-1 in the opening set. He's going to make any inroads in this match. These are chances he has to take.
Yeah, it's now or never for the first set. It's going to be a 2-rail back or a 3-rail forward option off the 7. Got enough angle. It's really his choice. Personally, I'd favor the 2 rails back here. Nothing wrong with 3 rails forward as well. Nice hit. Hit it perfect. Might not have came out perfect, but I mean, he's good enough to pocket the ball for sure. The cue ball's running into the 9 now. I think I'd try to play the 9 off the left side rail and banking towards the right side pocket. Could play it real slowly too and play the 9 up in the long corner pocket. I had enough room to draw above it. Got a little funny here though. This one could be 4 rails around, stunning the cue ball, pocketing the 9 in the right corner pocket and stunning the cue ball 4 rails. Might be a following option, 2 or 3 rail following option. There's a bunch of options here. You can pick either pocket. Gonna go with the closer pocket. It's a bit of a heavier cut, but feels more confident pocketing the ball into the closer pocket. Nice hit. That one was a little more natural. I'd say the pocketing angle was a little trickier, but the cue ball was playing natural, which is something you always want to consider. Nice run out there. Wouldn't feel like he's made too many mistakes, but needed a run out to kind of get him going.
Vital rack. Break in rack number 6. 3-2, still the deficit. It confronts the Finnish star. Can you see any other matches out there, Eric, that catch your eye? A lot of good players here. We've already told you Fedor Gorst is in the house.
I'm actually spying Mohamed Sufi on one of the second row tables. You remember his run in the World Pool Championship this year. Another player from Kuwait. So I think you have 3 players from, maybe I don't know if Al Shaheen's here, but minimum 3 players. Al Youssef is here, so you got 3 players from Kuwait in the tournament. Pardon me, Sufi might be from Syria, but looks like him, and a player has the Kuwait shirt on. Yeah, rack kind of got him there. Middle of the rack didn't really separate as much as he'd want. Might see him go to the middle after that result. 3 in the gonna be a bit of work to do with this 3 in the 5. Probably gonna play a carom into the 5. got in the middle here. Don't feel like there's an option to combo the 2 into the 3. The 5's blocking too much of the pocket for that. Can pocket the 2 in the top right corner. Cue ball is going to be really loose if he tries that, but I feel like it's the only shot available really here. Could go safe. Could play the cue ball near the 6-8. Use the 4-10 as blockers as well. It's a good shot. Caught the window between all 4 balls there. Pretty unlucky, really. Didn't leave much of a safe option in return, though. Don't think much is happening off the left side of the 2. Could hit it perfectly, I guess, and bank the 2 towards the 7 and use the 6-8 as blockers. Might have to, because hitting the right edge of it's bringing the 2 towards the left corner pocket too much. We just slow rolled it. Those are tricky.
Risky.
Yeah.
Very risky. Alawadhi has his say. Could cost him the first set. So just got to control the 3 here.
Yeah, I think he's on a good enough angle where he'll just play the 3 up in the top right corner pocket. Little too much angle to be able to follow it, but he can stun the cue ball in between the 6-9 and take more of a cut angle on the 4. Right about where he's pointing his tip right now. Oh, he was straight enough to draw it. That's a good shot. Got closer to it. Able to move the cue ball more now. Or move the cue ball with more control when you get the cue ball closer to the ball you're pocketing.
Big moment. Good shot from the 4 to the 6 here. That'll tell the tale.
Power draw. Nice hit. It's got a good flowing stroke. Moves the cue ball around well.
Yeah, only perfect. He's got that long action. Very minimal movement in his body, but he generates a lot of cue power.
Mm-hmm.
You get another example of it here, drawn back closer to the 8.
Big long follow through too, hey? Can soft draw this one 2 rails. I wouldn't be rolling this one in 1 rail. I'd kind of soft draw it or play it with a bit of right spin over to the 2nd rail.
Yeah, the mistake from Jani Uski. It's going to cost him the first set.
Yeah, I think the biggest, judgment call in that set was jumping at the 7. And on the flip side of that, if Alawadhi wouldn't have got safe on the 7, it would have changed the storyline as well.
Set number 1, the Kuwaiti pool player, that or Alawadhi. And he'll break in set number 2. And so now, for Uski, the game plan to try and force the shootout. He's got to win this set to get there.
Alawadhi just going to take a little break. Uski staying in the playing arena. Uski's capable. I mean, any player that's finishing in the top 16 of Matchroom events is definitely a top player in the world. He did that twice in the 2023 season.
Both in European events, and we all know how strong the European tour is. Any play over there, very high level. So I mentioned that the Rumblebees are the big hockey team here in Battle Creek, and I think I can't get this confirmed or denied yet, but the Colonels are the team that play out of this particular arena. But I've got to get on that.
Where are the banners in the arena though?
Well, there you go.
You know, you would think that you would just see them on the wall or the home of the Colonels. You're not quite seeing it. So.
Well, we can also tell you the home of Kellogg's is in Battle Creek, Michigan. I mean, you've got the arena named here, and they probably own half the city. About 60,000, you figure, the population of Battle Creek.
Yeah, I looked it up. It was around there. Yeah.
A lot of history here. And I can also tell you a lot of construction and a lot of detours. They turned about a 5.5-hour drive into a 7-hour drive for me from Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably still, I got here quicker than if I'd have flown, because I think I would have had to go through Detroit, maybe Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
You know, and risked lost luggage. And so I feel sorry for all the guys that had to fly, come to Grand Rapids, because you're still an hour and a half away.
Yeah, I was there last weekend. Nice city.
The state of Michigan, home to more lakes than any other state in the USA.
Heart of the Great Lakes, I guess. Yeah.
And it is a beautiful state. If you've never been here, I mean, it gets cold. They know what winter's all about in Michigan. But it's not quite like Canada. That snow shovel never travels too far from the front door of my place, let me tell you.
Western Canada, we're lucky. It only gets down to -20 where we're at. How about -40 in Western Canada?
And that's -40 Celsius is where -40 meets Fahrenheit.
Pardon me, we're talking in Celsius here. Yeah. Is that what it is? Say it again.
-40 Celsius is the same as -40 Fahrenheit.
Oh, I never knew that.
I've experienced it.
Have Americans ever seen a reading of -40 Fahrenheit?
Not lived to talk about it. All right, here we go. Second set. Alawadhi. First one in the bank. We'll see if we can get off the mark here on set number 2.
Yeah, it looks like he's gonna stick with that kind of break from the middle type break, not literally from the middle of the table, but more of a closed bridge from the bed of the table. It's worked for him on the last 2. He breaks well, stays down through the hit too, just kind of uses his stroke to create the power, not his body.
He'll be putting the handcuffs on Uski here.
I was thinking it was more of a roll safe there, but I think what he had in mind was if he rolled at it, he would have left the right side rail open to an easy kick. Smart shot, actually.
Yeah, I think he still left a much easier kick than he intended.
He did, yeah. He was trying to freeze the cue ball on the 4-Mors. This is a 100% hit from Uski, just a question of what kind of save he'll get afterwards. Oh, he nicked the 4 on the way through.
That's 99%.
So that's a weird one where it's like the cue ball kind of pushes to the left real quick. I'm not saying it's not a mistake, but the reason that happened is because he was hitting left spin on it. And the first action of that is that the cue ball pushes left and it kind of just pushed into the 4. I've done that many times when I'm playing and it kind of freaks me out. I'm like, how could that even happen, right? It's because the cue ball deflects quickly and then kind of it pushes one way and then the other kind of, and it just ends up hitting the ball that you're kicking around or that you're trying to swerve around.
Well, as you were talking, I was looking at Jani sitting in his chair, just shaking his head. I'll tell you, the secret of success in this level, when you're playing pool, is having a short memory.
Yeah.
So you better stay in the present, because chances are you're going to get another chance, and all those negative thoughts, you got to get them out of your head.
Oh, yeah. Especially in a short race situation like this, you got to recover right away. Looks like it's going to be next rack, though. Alawadhi's pretty in line here. 6 is a gimme. Plays easy into the 8.
I talk about all the great Filipino players that we've seen over the years, and you see them and they never carry any baggage.
Totally agree. Yeah, it's one of their biggest strengths. They just play the game. And, you know, when you're around players of that type of culture, you develop that culture yourself, right? So, you know, I think I couldn't think of a particular nation of players that are a little more on the emotional side, but I'm sure that happens as well, right? But it's just the culture over there is just play the game and accept the result, kind of, right? And it's a very good way to play.
Strikes the ball so nice.
It does.
We said he was a quarterfinalist in the Las Vegas Open last year, so he's got some talent.
Yeah, plays all the major tournaments. You know, the way he's hitting the ball right now, I wouldn't put much between him and the very top.
Just consistency.
Sure.
It's
yeah.
really, you know, in the longer events that are staged over longer periods of time, you get to your world championships and events like that. You really have to make sure your bad game is still competitive.
Mm-hmm.
That's the secret to success, because you're going to have days where you just can't find the switch. You've got to survive those days.
And not talking about him particularly, I don't know him personally, I'm just making a general statement, but, you know, when you come up against those players like Boris, like, do you feel the same? Are you able to produce this kind of game, right? Like, maybe he is, maybe he isn't, I don't know, we'd have to see, right? But I think just being out there, being able to go out there and playing your own game regardless of who you're playing, that's a big part of it too.
Second set, already 1-0 in front, and we'd like to duplicate that last break.
Yeah, this one's worked twice for him. I like how he's hitting it too. Hitting the rack nice and square, big power. Caught it square again. Good movement on the rack. Just didn't make anything. Almost made the 4-railer with the 7, but the 10 got in the way. Uski's got to take advantage here. Five's kind of blocking the natural track of the cue ball where he'd want to play position for the 3, but I'm sure there's a way to manipulate around it. I feel like the 3 is a little too sharp in the side. That would be the most obvious option because the 5's kind of in the way of where he wants to go. There could be a small track between the 5 and the side pocket if he gets a real good angle on the 2. Can't quite tell, but I feel like he might be able to get inside the 5 here. Yeah, he's lining up for that track, so he actually got perfect here. Nice shot. Now he's got a similar issue with the 8 kind of being in the way of the natural track of where he wants to get over for the 4. But there might be some small window in there again. But it's got a bad angle. Didn't quite work out. What do you do here? Some kind of stun follow? Power stun follow? He's shaking his head. It's a bad angle. He's too straight for what he needs to do. Drawing's not an option. Cue ball's going towards the side pocket too much. I feel like if you hit it perfectly, you could create a stun angle into the left side rail and kind of track the cue ball in between the 8-4, but that's tough.
Possibility of a 4-6?
I was thinking about that too, but I was thinking it's tough to get the cue ball far enough left of the 4, but it looks like that's what he's going for. Good call, Jim. Yeah, the other options were too tough.
I mean, that was the only, it looked like he just left himself so awkward. If he was going to take the aggressive path, that was it.
Mm-hmm. It's actually considered the carom there. I guess if he makes it, the 4 is always going to be in a good position. And he's worried that he has too much angle if the cue ball's running away too much from the 4 if he tries the combo.
Big shot, Eric.
Whoa, too much angle on the combo and didn't favor the carom, I guess?
Yeah, didn't quite land on it as intended.
Good save. I mean, that shows experience and to a certain extent too, right? I mean, like that's, you know, it's saying that I feel like I'm only going to make the carom less than 60% of the time. The combo has bad connotations to it as well. And I can make the safe a high percentage of the time, right?
Also shows that you've got some courage and you're willing to battle.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a good point too. You know, at that point you could just be like, oh, well, I'm just going to try low percentage shots because nothing's going well. I'm going to try to turn it around. But yeah, he's still in the match for sure.
Still in compete mode. As we said, early days here in the second set. No reason to be throwing the towel in.
Mm-hmm. I feel like trying to use the 7 as a blocker here, play the 4 into the middle of the short rail. Well, I wouldn't have got that aggressive. I would have just tried to line the 7 up. Too tough to get the cue ball all the way back over to where the 5-8 is. It's a slow roll behind the 10. Very tough to slow roll the balls with precision over this distance. Could be a game winner if he tries it. Could try to use the 7 as a blocker, hit it with a little more speed as well. That's what he did. Oh, he was able to hit it that hard and still hold the cue ball. Nice shot. Thought he had to slow roll it a little more to hold the cue ball there. Kind of played like a slow drag to that. Like, I'm surprised he slowed the cue ball down so much there. Probably just the thickness of how he hit the 4. Two rails at this. Always play into the second rail here. Players that have less experience might try to hit this ball 1 rail, but it's always higher percentage to try to hit it 2. Unfortunately, he went around it. Kick the 5 in a reasonably safe spot, though. What do you like here? 5-9 combo, maybe? Yeah. Play the combo first. Get the 4 on that side of the table and just hold that side of the table into the 5-9 combo. Possibly the 5 on the side.
I don't know if he's left himself enough angle. He looked away.
Yeah, got a little straight.
Yeah, that was the only danger with playing that combination, getting the 6 away from that side of the table. So he needs to stun this straight up the line.
Mm-hmm. Good control.
Very good shot.
Yeah, made that was easier than he made it, or made that look easier than it was. Again, controlling the 5 here. Maybe even try to make them both. Plays into position on the 7. He did. Nice shot. Pretty natural angle here. See if he... Oh, clean. Just noticing something on the 7 there.
Yes. Referee John Lehman just stopping the shot clock and putting the white gloves for the 7.
Looks like he sees it.
Yeah, that's probably just from being hammered to the back of the pocket.
I would agree. Yeah, and these are brand new balls, brand new clean balls. It just bit of rubber came off when the 7 went into the pocket at high speed. Actually has a side or a corner option here. I'd favor the side, but almost looks like he's going for the corner. Yeah, that's confidence in pocketing there.
This rack win by virtue of a very good safety shot from distance, forcing the mistake. And Alawadhi, 2-0 in front. Just waiting for that cue ball to lose pace, bring balls onto the table. So he's in control of set number 2, already having secured set number 1.
Really likes to push the follow through long through the cue ball. I don't know if there'll be any shots that you will notice it in the next rack, but you know, there's certain shots where you want to do that on purpose because you're trying to manipulate the cue ball in a certain way. but I feel like he does it on just shots where he doesn't really need to do that. I feel like he'll stick with the same break. He didn't make a ball in the last break, but he's getting good action out of the rack.
And such a high level of play here at the Michigan Open. Again, you know, these guys are so good. You know, when the balls are there, we say should be out. Never discount the human factor. They are human and they do have nerves.
Made 2 again, 3 actually. Ooh, lost the cue ball though. I couldn't quite see if it got kicked. I know it was tracking towards that side of the table, but I feel like it might have got kicked towards the corner there. Slight positional challenge here, but he's got a decent amount of room on the right side of the table.
Eric, fair to say this is a must rack?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And it's not like he's made glaring errors. It's just, you know, when he has had half chances at running out, he hasn't got quite all the way out. He needs to make it happen. Can run the cue ball into the 7 here. Just checking if the 3 passes the 10. Don't feel like the 7 is going to end up near the 3, but there's a small thing about if the 7 pushes to the left, it's going to kind of cut off the tracks of how the cue ball is going to move back towards the 6. Not sure how he's going to get the cue ball there. He'd have to follow it, but he's aware of what I'm talking about. You know, it seems like it would be just run into the 7. Is he even going out of bank here? No, couldn't be. Yeah, okay, so he could draw the cue ball enough to get it back to this side of the table. That was a good play, because the 7 could have messed with his position back towards the 6. Two rails back, typical pattern play here. This one's in between. I mean, he can definitely get back for the 7, but just a question of exactly how he wants to. He'd want to go forward here, but I feel like he has a little too much angle with the cue ball, so I feel like he's going to draw it back past the side. Bit of right spin. Watch out for the corner. He knows it right away. Wow, see that it was the proper shot, but whenever you're drawing the ball, it's, you know, little mistakes like that can happen, especially if you're not, you know, 100% confident in what's happening in the runouts, 100% confident in the field, the table. You know, you want to look to follow balls when you're moving them long distances, or just generally, it's easier to control the cue ball. But at the same time, you got to get out there.
As soon as he hit the shot, he looked away.
Sure, yeah. Just knew he underdrew it.
And a 3-0 advantage. Batter Alawadhi, he'll break in rack number 4. That'll be the last rack he'll play in this match. And now Jani Uski, he'll reflect back on a few unforced errors. A long way back for him now. But again, the short race.
Yeah, it's not like being down 8-0 in a race to 9, you know, and you just got to start out one game at a time here. It's winner breaks too, you know. So you win one, you break and run another one. Now you're only one game off the hill, or off putting serious pressure on your opponent. That's the thing with this format. There's always pressure. You know, like even if the score is 3-2, well, your opponent's one game from the hill, right? It's great for the fans, good for the players to be playing under big pressure like this too. Nice hit.
Look at the cue ball
Yeah.
parked in the middle of the table.
Yeah, I like that break going forward for him. Didn't get any fortune on the first ball, but nothing you can do about that. He's actually in a bit of a tough spot here. I see what you're pointing at. Do you think the 6 is in the way of the cue ball tracking back towards the 10? Maybe not.
That's close.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got the edge of the 3 poking out. I mean, that cue ball he's looking at, the cue ball is going to be tracking down towards the 10.
Yeah, and if
You
you
got to wonder.
hit this,
He's just called it.
yeah, just hit the 3 thin enough. Play with just a tiny bit of right spin. Could be straight high.
Got to miss the 6 there.
Just missed it and went wide, so it was there.
Caught it too thick. It definitely was there.
Yeah.
And it was worth the go. I mean, at 3-0, a little easier to take that shot on, especially where the 10 finished.
This is just pocketing here. Feel like the natural angle is playing around the 6, just barely to the right of it. Well, he feels like he's going to run into the 4. I kind of felt like he's going to run past the 4, but we'll see. Maybe he's even trying to push the 4 down towards the 10, play with a bit of right spin. Oh, he was, but he didn't catch the right side of it. That could have worked out really well. Like he purposely tried to run into it there with right spin. Just didn't push it quite the way he wanted. I mean, he's still on the 4. He's okay. I think you got to back off here and just play the bank on the 5.
That's exactly what he's looking at. He's going to make sure he leaves himself the angle. Get the cue ball down for the 6 after the 5. 3 shots ahead, he's thinking.
Pretty good angle. Cue ball's tracking to the right. Can follow this one. A little bit of right spin, help the movement of the cue ball a little bit. Yeah, it's just not quite there, but if the cue ball gets behind the 9, it'll save him. He can make it. I'm looking right down the line here. He can make the 10. It's obviously tough. It's a combo. The 5's really far from the 10, but the thing that helps him is that the 10 is really close to the pocket. I'd put him at about 50-50 here, maybe a little higher.
For the match. Yeah, dead center. Couldn't have struck it any better. Batter Alawadhi, the whitewash in the second set, dismisses Jani Uski 2-0, and he'll stay on the winner's bracket. And very well played. You have to be impressed there with how Batter Alawadhi looked.
I really liked how he played. I mean, nice aggressive shooting throughout the whole thing. Looked confident, broke the balls well. Looks good to do well in this tournament.
We'll be back with more action from the Michigan Open. Stay with us.